All right, here back at CarolinaPreps.com, and I've got Coach Antonio Moore from Northeastern High School in Elizabeth City joining us. Coach Moore coming off that big 15-1 season last year. I know it ended in heartbreaking fashion with that tough loss to Monroe, but nonetheless, an incredible season. Heading in now to your 21st year at Northeastern. I've known you for a long time, and it just doesn't feel like you've been there 21 years. But hey, welcome to the program. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, man? I'm really excited to talk to you this morning with the time change.
I know. I was saying that as well. Normally the time changes don't bother me, but yeah, I guess you get a little bit older. I don't know. This one kind of snuck up on us a little bit.
It did. I mean, I went through it yesterday going to church. I was late going to church because of that. I was like, man, I got to get used to this time. But I like it. I actually like it. I like when it
I do
get
too.
dark later.
I do too. Oh, well, as I mentioned, you're heading into your 21st season as the head football coach at Northeastern, averaging slightly over 10 wins a season. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and pull your coaching record up right here over at Carolina Prep's team pages. 220 wins, 53 losses. You've had 4 state championship appearances. I still strongly feel that Northeastern is going to get over that hump, and you're going to get them that first state championship. And from the looks of some of this young talent, I know you graduated a lot of good seniors, but from the looks of some of the young talents you got coming up, I think you guys are going to continue to be in this mix.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we had a real good senior group this past year. But my underclassmen, and I mean, I'm excited about my underclassmen. I have a load of sophomores and juniors that can play. At least 4 of them Division I prospects. So with this spring, which they started in February. Since the spring, I think that by the end of this summer that we're not going to drop off much.
Who are some of the young guys that maybe the fans aren't going to recognize? Maybe even some guys like myself in the media that's going to just kind of come out of left field and kind of be front and center this year. Who are maybe some of these young newcomers to the program that's been on the JVs or on the sidelines? Who do you think will be some of those impact players for the Eagles?
Well, I'm gonna give you 5 of them. I mean, I have a load of them. I'm gonna give you 5. I would say the quarterback, starting with the quarterback, Zach Ishman. Um, he can throw it about 80 yards already. He's about 6'2", 200-pound quarterback. Argumentably should have started last year. I got a running back named Damari McNeil. His dad played for me, played for East Carolina. His dad was 6 all time in the state of North Carolina in rushing, and he's gonna follow suit. He's about 6'2", 225, 230 running back. Then I have a 6'5", 280-pound defensive tackle. That's a sophomore. There'll be a junior that's getting recruited heavily right now. I have a 6'1", 225 linebacker that's returning from last year. Well, I have a host of kids, man. I'm very excited about it.
Well, you send me that list, and we'll make sure we'll get them out there. But hey, I was going to ask you this question, and I've asked you this before, but still, I think it's worth bringing up. As the crow flies, you guys are just a stone's throw from the 757 area code, the Tidewater area, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, that whole area, which is known to be a quote unquote, I'll use the air quotes, hotbed for recruiting talent. But yet, nonetheless, as close as you are, it just seems like for whatever reason, you cross I-95 in North Carolina, and sometimes I think college recruiters get lost when they're trying to find their way out there, and the talent just don't seem to find its way to the schools the way that you think it should. I feel like if you moved your school a few miles north and it's in the Virginia state line, you guys would be a powerhouse of recruiting, but yet nonetheless, because you're in North Carolina, I feel like it's a struggle. Tell me how that feels from your perspective.
Well, I say this every year on the interview, that North Carolina and Virginia doesn't claim us. So we kind of just there. If our school was 5 miles south, we'll be on a new bypass, which the college recruiters use that bypass to get to Chesapeake. But I'm being funny when I say this. They're so lazy to turn off and go to Northeastern High School 5 miles to get here. But nevertheless, we get some recruiters here. We get some here. I mean, I'm joking a little bit, but
I'll say this tongue in cheek as well, and you know this to be true. I'm not too lazy to get up there. I've been to Northeastern at least a handful of times to see you in the last few years.
Yes, yes, you have. I mean, and we really appreciate it. I mean, we try to show hospitality because anytime Chris, you come or anybody else come, that's coming way out here. We come way out here. That's a big deal. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. I was looking at your coaching record right here. You were the assistant football coach in the Shrine Bowl in 2019. I had a good time spending time with you that week down in South Carolina for that big game.
Yeah.
I strongly feel that you should be looked at seriously to be a head coach of the Shrine Bowl. I know we got Coach Craddock out of the East this year at Tarboro, and well deserved. And even the East-West game. I mean, I hope that we can see a Coach Antonio Moore elevated to that head coaching level because I certainly feel like you deserve it.
Well, it would be nice, and you know what? That's one thing that I really don't think about much. If it happens, it happens. And I'll be appreciative. But it's again, I'm not thinking about that because it took me almost 18 to 19 years to even give them a stat the first time. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of numb to that.
Sure. Well, we'll let those guys take care of that. But Coach, I just wanted to get on here and let you talk about your program. Again, you do a phenomenal job, averaging roughly 10 wins a season, a little bit north of that over the course of 20 years. I mean, that's an incredible career. I've known you for a long time, and you still seem pretty young. I could see you in that role for years to come, or at least I hope we can keep you around for years to come.
Well, I'll tell you what, I feel good right now. As long as I'm feeling good and still have the same motivation. Because one thing about me, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put 110% into it. So as long as I feel that way, I mean, I'll be around a while, and I feel that way right now. I mean, it doesn't seem like 20 years, When you say that, I'm just thinking like, wow, 20 years ago, that means I'm getting older.
It don't seem like 20 years that I've been covering football either, but, it kind of creeps up on us, and you can see this gray hair kind of picking its way through.
Well, I tell you what, don't worry about the gray hair. Cause I have kids in high school with gray hair.
That's true. Hey.
So don't worry about that. I mean, look, hey, you still look the same.
I hear you. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Well, Coach Antonio Moore, I'm going to let you get back to class, but again, I appreciate you spending a few moments with us here on Carolina Preps, and I hope to make my way up there to see you up there in Elizabeth City sometime soon this spring or into the season.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to try to have some seafood waiting for you this time.
Hey, we can do that. Absolutely. All right, guys. That is Coach Antonio Moore, Northeastern High School head coach, coming off a 15-1 record last year, lost in that heartbreaker 10.35. I think it's 35-25 loss to Monroe.
Yes.
Nothing to be ashamed of in that aspect, but I think that these Eagles can do something even more this year, and we're going to keep our eyes out on them. But again, thanks for joining us here at Carolina Preps, and we'll have more of these coaching interviews coming to you throughout the off season.
Okay, I appreciate you, Chris.
Thank you, Coach.